So here's what you missed on Glee.
No! You're not gonna make me try that again with an exposition dump by someone who clearly chugged a gallon of Red Bull. We're gonna do this at my pace. So what have we covered in our past reviews of the phenomenon that has become the Fox musical drama Glee? Well, we saw the first season was an extremely morbid drama that tried to tackle everything from bullying to teen pregnancy around a win-at-all-costs story involving the high school Glee club that the show is primarily about. Then Season 2 took a complete 180 into outright insanity that I actually found entertaining, showing everything from laughing gas-induced dreams about being Britney Spears to Gwyneth Paltrow singing about sex ed. Then Season 3 looked like it took a page from Days of Our Lives and having almost everyone trying to sabotage and fight with one another, and yet all still came together in the end through the magic of plot convenience, while probably causing several viewers to be hospitalized with severe whiplash. So with that out of the way, let's get into the 4th season of Glee and try to find out how the hell there could be a 4th season at all! As I pointed out at the end of the last review, Season 3 ended with much of New Directions graduating and Rachel getting into the fictional school Niada, but Kurt failing to do so. Cue massive fan outrage there. So Season 4 opens with Rachel attending her first dance class at Niada, which turns out to be run by this drill sergeant of an instructor played by Kate Hudson.
Lesson number 1, your PK turns are pathetic and your stuck-up little attitude's really pissing me off.
I don't need any help.
No, sweetie, I'm not coming down here to help you. I'm coming down here to give you a big New York City welcome. You suck.
I like her! We then go back to McKinley High and oh, come on! You haven't graduated or been hit by a car yet?
Rachel Berry was the group's undisputed star, so really, the only question is, which one of you is the new Rachel?
So because of that win at Nationals, the Glee Club is the hot new thing, and suddenly Will Schuester has people banging on his door to join New Directions. This means we get new characters to replace the ones who graduated. This includes Marley, who is basically Rachel if she was a wallflower, but at least that makes her a ton more likable, so they may have actually taken a step forward with her. She's countered with Kitty, the new bitchy cheerleader who has absolutely zero of the hint of an actual good person that Quinn had. Then there's Jake, who replaces Puck to the point where he's actually Puck's half-brother. But you know, we still need people to replace both Mercedes and Kurt and replace Rachel's drama queen antics. So how about we put all of that together in one character?
Let the majesty and mystery of Unique's fabulousness be enough. Where else could I dress like this and be welcomed with open arms?
Okay, I'm going to try and be as sensitive about this as possible. I am sure there are a lot of people that struggle with their sexual identity. I am sure that they must deal with their own internal struggle as to who they really are, as well as the bullying they receive because of this. I'm also willing to bet that none of that is the reason Murphy and Company chose to put one of those types into their show and instead are doing it simply for shock value. Also, Britney is back because, surprise, surprise, she didn't graduate, and yet somehow she's still allowed to return to New Directions and the Cheerios. Geez, McKinley High is more lenient than Florida State University.
I'm planning a Middle East-style sham election that will install me as senior class president for life.
Brittany, who are you talking to?
I thought I was doing a voiceover.
Of course, she does get temporarily dismissed from the Cheerios, and this is all to lead into a second Britney episode that really is just about poking fun at Britney Spears' struggles and ridiculed comeback tour. And Ryan Murphy actually wonders how some artists would not want to grant a license for his show to use their music? I am absolutely shocked!
We perform the song for Artie, he makes his choice, we go to Mr. Shu as a group, and we tell him who the new lead soloist is.
And speaking of the music, I have a completely impartial method of judging the quality of the songs used in this season. And by that, I mean I have an iPod of 80s rock hits to drown out the crap. So, what do we have to start with?
The song of the summer, Call Me Maybe.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe.
Whoa! There's nowhere to run! No one can save me! The damage is done! Meanwhile, Kurt, since he got the screw job from NIADA, is looking to attend community college until Blaine and all his friends convince him to go to New York anyway, much to Rachel's delight, since she was all alone with Finn in the army. Which is why it takes them all of the first act of the season premiere to throw in a hottie to set up a love triangle. How long before Finn returns and we get the actual breakup? That was so soon that choice wasn't even available in the pool! Yeah, Finn couldn't make it in the army, so he ultimately finds his way back to McKinley, where he becomes an assistant with the Glee Club, starting with their annual production, which turns out to be Grease this year. And I'll admit, the performance of Grease they show is not that bad.
Go Grease lightning, you're burning up the quarter mile. Go Grease lightning, you're coursing through the heat lap trial.
As long as they don't take this too far and throw in a bunch of other movie songs.
Revving up your engine, listen to a howling roar. Metal under tension, begging you to touch and go.
Save me, Kenny!
We're all dead. The money for the arts is dried up.
What we need is representation on that blue ribbon government panel to get arts back.
There was a huge debate over that.
Oh, they don't care about us.
Maybe they'll take a show choir director who just won nationals and wants to make a difference in this world.
If that means you'll be gone from the show, who do I have to bribe to get you on the committee? Will indeed takes a leave of absence to fight for the arts and leaves Finn in charge of New Directions as they get ready for sectionals, which turns out to be a lot more difficult because the Warblers have decided to go supervillain on New Directions. Literally.
Secret Society of Superheroes Club is now in session. It is the purpose of this club to fight injustice, to right all of that which is wrong, and to preserve truth, justice, and peace in the halls of McKinley High.
Greetings, New Directions. You have been living as national champions on borrowed time, and that ends now. We have your trophy. Soon we'll have your title as well. The Great Reckoning is at hand. Sectionals. Your move.
You know, Ryan, this whole thing about trying to fire back at the geeks who insult your show is getting out of hand. I'm not saying this because we can't take the criticism. I'm saying you suck at doing it. Give it up! Seriously, I can't be the only one who thinks this show is trolling the internet community. Why else would Britney have her own online show?
Tonight's guests are two sworn enemies who became friends, then became enemies again, then became friends again, then enemies, and then everybody stopped caring.
Though, admittedly, that show might still be more entertaining than The Irate Gamer. And if you still don't think this show is trying to troll us, or maybe pathetically try to pander to us, it could be either, just check out the episode Guilty Pleasures.
Wake me up before you go Take me dancing tonight.
Well, thanks for ruining my Wham collection.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really wanna zig-a-zig.
That has 8th Amendment written all over it!
My name is Vicky. I am an android. I'm fantastic, made of plastic.
She's Vicky the Robot Girl from Small Wonder.
That's it. I've reached my guilty pleasures obscure reference that nobody cares about limit.
I don't know what's worse. The fact that they're trying to make a joke by referencing a corny kids sitcom from the 80s that most of their audience won't know about? Or the fact that I know they got that reference wrong because Vicky's control box was in her back! So now New Directions has to win at sectionals, not just for Mr. Schuster, but because the Warblers have made it personal. Remember when they actively supported New Directions in their competitions? Those were good times. At any rate, New Directions blows it at sectionals this year, but amazingly not because of sabotage on the Warblers, but from within. Marley faints on stage because Kitty had been turning her into an anorexic.
Leaving the stage mid-competition for any reason is risking immediate disqualification.
What? That's a rule?
Yeah, it's a rule. One of the bylaws, actually, as all of you were spiraling into a self-created K-hole of crazy. The judges, by unanimous vote, have declared the Warblers victorious.
You know, at this point, I've just given up on why Sue hates the Glee Club this year. I think it's just a psychological tic of hers. Kinda like me in the NFL.
When your season ended with your loss at sectionals, I filed the appropriate paperwork so that the Cheerios take full possession of this room, including everything in it.
Does that mean the season's over? Oh, come on! I wanted to dream it was over! You know, I'm gonna drown my sorrows in some Huey Lewis while making you watch some ads I'm sure you've seen a million times before. We'll be right back! So yeah, the big conflict here is that Finn and the club have to find out how they can stay together without a competition for Glee Club to work for. Enthralling. And really, this is the biggest question as to why there had to have been a 4th season at all. Okay, I know why the show is a cash cow, but how could they bring it back? What more is there to tell? As bipolar as the first 3 seasons were, there was a gradual evolution of the storyline over that time span, showing how the Glee Club went from the verge of being shut down to climbing all the way to the very top. But now that they've won nationals, secured the club's place and future at the school, and many of the participants graduated and moved on, any more conflicts the club has will just seem anticlimactic by comparison. There could be something in showing what happens to each of the former members as they move on in their own lives, but those stories are ultimately made secondary to what's going on at McKinley now, which really is a nuisance to be honest. I want to get this out of the way just in case. Any issues I have with the characters in this film, I don't have with their performers. Just because I can't stand Rachel Berry doesn't mean I have it in for the actress. I've never met Lea Michele. Well, except maybe that one karaoke night that I'm still wondering if it was a dream or not. But still, I don't know her. But I will say, for what the character is supposed to be, she does the job well. Rachel is clearly a drama queen alpha bitch, and that's how Michelle plays her. The problem is that the writers clearly want us to root for that type of person. We were supposed to be glad that Rachel got into NYADA and not Kurt, even though every obstacle she had, she brought on herself and often got around it because of other people. Which is why I actually liked the storyline they started with Kurt, where he lands an internship at Vogue, working for an editor played by Sarah Jessica Parker. It actually looks like Kurt might find something he's good at and enjoys outside of drama.
I know it's your dream to go to NIADA, but sometimes dreams can change, and I really would not be surprised if someday every A-lister in this town was fighting for one of your designs.
Which is why this is thrown out the window, and Kurt eventually does get into NIADA so he can try to keep Rachel's feet on the ground or something. Oh, Glee. I love how you can take potential storylines that could advance your characters and then just shove them in the back of the closet and forget about them. And also that whole thing about needing to find out how Glee Club can go on without the competition, completely pointless, because they find out that the Warblers cheated by doping. I'm not kidding. So they're back in business.
Stripping Dalton Academy of their sectionals title and sending Lima's own McKinley High School show choir to regionals.
This is what they think news is now?
Andrea.
I can't take this anymore. I cannot take this anymore. I have had it. I've had enough.
A show on Fox complaining about what passes for news today. Hypocrisy much? Yeah, we once again get as many social issues thrown into this season as possible. Not only do we get this parody on Major League Baseball's PED scandals, but we also get pregnancy again, and of course, gun violence in schools.
Everyone just spread out and hide, spread out and hide. Find a place to hide, Kenny, just go over there.
So, showing an actual shooting in a school is being topical and thus okay to show, but high school kids fighting a snake demon was too sensitive due to Columbine. Can we all agree that the FCC establishes its standards by throwing darts at a wall while drunk? We do get a brief break from the Glee drama to focus on something happy, like Will and Emma finally getting married.
I'm not getting married.
With this ring.
Still I'm not getting married. See, I'm not getting married. Let's pray that we're not getting married today.
Of course we have to have their marriage get put on ice, and then Finn up and kisses Emma for God knows what reason, because these are among those screenwriters who think happy relationships are boring and uneventful. Can someone get me the number for Gomez and Morticia so I can have them pay a visit to those writers? Let's try to sum the rest of this season up. Will and Finn are all pissy at one another for much of the season. After Finn admits kissing Emma, Rachel discovers her new boy's a whore, but then she gets an audition for a revival of Funny Girl, and all of a sudden, this makes her teacher supportive of her in that whole I was only trying to motivate you all along shtick. And that's only the start of all the new characters that suddenly undergo face turns in an obvious desperate attempt to get us to like them in the end. Sue lies and gets herself fired to cover for the kid who had the gun in school so she can have her annual moment. And Brittany suddenly goes from being held back in high school to gaining early entry into MIT, just go with it, as New Directions, to the surprise of maybe half the audience, defends their title at regionals once again.
Only 24 more of these babies before we catch up to vocal adrenaline.
Oh, please, vocal adrenaline's time has passed. The present and the future is all about the New Directions. And we are going to prove it when we go to sunny Los Angeles for nationals and take home our second national championship in a row.
And so, do they defend their title all the way at nationals? Yeah! Man, the fourth season of Glee just comes off like a cheap sequel to the first season. There were some attempts at potentially good stories, but they get overshadowed by more over-the-top soap opera-style melodrama that by now has really gotten stale, even if it is with new characters. And those characters themselves just come off as retreads of who they were replacing anyway. If there was any reason to have having a fourth season, it was the potential to try something new. But it's like they went with trying to reboot the show, and we all know how well reboots usually work. Of course, I guess I now need to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The fifth season's productions was hit by a very tragic roadblock. In 2013, Corey Monteith, who played Finn, was found dead of what was determined to be a drug overdose. His death was taken very hard by a lot of people in the cast and production staff, and definitely forced them to have to do a lot of rewriting for the upcoming season. But the good news is this Glee review is over, and we can move on to better things. Like our 4th anniversary show next week. And the best part is, I still haven't been able to find any footage of that show, so we're not gonna be able to review it